Hello and welcome to Creating Powerful Impact, where we dive deep into the data that drives successful businesses. I'm your host, Shay Wheat, certified event producer and CEO of Grace and Ease Productions, and today we are exploring some, I feel, fascinating behavioral patterns in the coaching and consulting world. So, if you are a coach or a consultant who runs programs or mastermind groups, this episode is going to be packed with insights that really could transform how you approach event marketing. Now, we've analyzed comprehensive industry data from 2025 so far, and what we found might surprise you. Let's just dive into it. Did you all know that the coaching industry has grown 156% since 2019, reaching $6.25 billion in 2024? But here's the kicker. Success isn't just about the growing market. It's understanding who your audience is and how they behave. Let's keep going. So, first, let's talk about who's actually in the coaching space. The data reveals a fascinating generational divide that most people don't realize. And until I started diving into this, I didn't even quite realize it. And I'm in it all day, every day. But baby boomers dominate the industry at 49% of all coaches. That's right, nearly half of all coaches are baby boomers. Gen X follows at 40%, while millennials represent only 8%. And Gen Z, they're less than 1. But here's where it really starts to get interesting for the event marketing side. These generations behave completely differently when it comes to purchasing decisions. So, my baby boomers, who remember make up nearly half the market, prefer relationship building approaches. They respond to masterminds at a 45% rate, and they have an average client lifetime value of $52,000. They're not quick to decide, but when they do, they stick around. When you start looking at Gen X coaches, they take a more balanced approach. So they're comfortable with both virtual and in-person events, and they dominate the executive coaching space with a 42% conversion rate. Fascinating, right? Now, for my millennials, though only 8% of coaches, they are the early adopters. They prefer the hybrid events and they have the highest technology adoption rates. So, real world example, let's take a look at, we'll call her Sarah. She is a baby boomer leadership coach, struggled with webinar conversions until she shifted to intimate, more mastermind style events. Her revenue increased 340% in 6 months because she aligned her marketing approach with her demographics preferences. Fun, right? All right, so now let's dive into the behavioral patterns that can make or break your event marketing strategy. The data shows three distinct behavioral segments in the coaching market. There's the quick actors, and they represent about 28% of clients. They have the highest response rate at 62%, but the lowest lifetime value at $28,000. These are your webinar attendees who make those fast decisions. Then you have your relationship builders. This is 45% of your clients and the biggest segment. They have a 45% response rate, but the highest lifetime value at 52,000. So these are your mastermind participants who want personal connections. And then you have your analytic deciders. They make up about 27% of clients. They have the lowest response rate at 28%, but moderate lifetime value at 35%. They prefer more of the educational workshops and those detailed case studies. So here's the crucial insight I want to make sure that we're taking away. Most coaches make the mistake of using one approach for all three segments. The successful coaches really tailor their event marketing to match all of these behavioral patterns. Now, seasonal patterns are equally important. So October, November, we see the highest conversion rates at 42%. Why? Why in the world? Well, it's really kind of seen and experienced as a decision-making season. People are planning for the next year. January, February follows at 38% because there's that new year momentum. But as I'm sure you could probably guess, July and August, only about a 16% conversion. The summer really that summer slowdown is super real. So if you are looking at when you're going to be hosting your events, you want to keep that seasonal pattern of conversion in mind. So if we look at another coach, Mike, he's a business coach. He was running the same webinar series year round, and we shifted his high ticket mastermind to October, November, and his lead generation webinar to January, February. His annual revenue jumped 180%, right? Just by changing a couple things around. Now, let's talk money. The data reveals dramatic differences in ROI across event types. And this is where most coaches leave so much money on the table. So masterminds tend to generate an 8.1 return ROI. That's the highest return of any event type. High ticket workshops follow at 6.2x. Virtual summits hit 4.8x. And traditional webinars only about a 3.4. But here's the demographic twist, right? So your baby boomers and your older Gen X coaches really excel at the masterminds, while the millennials see better results with the virtual summits and the hybrid events. Something also to consider is specialization really matters too. So leadership coaching leads at 41% of the market, followed by executive coaching at 18%. And here's the insight. Executive coaching has the highest conversion rate of 42%, while leadership coaching has the highest volume. So if we were to look at like an hourly rate across all coaches, you're looking at probably a $256 price point. Obviously, that's going to vary dramatically by your specialization and the demographics. But the executive coaches in major metropolitan areas average about a $400 to $500 per hour, while your newer coaches in smaller markets might start at $100 to $150. So if we take a look at Jennifer, she transitioned from $150 an hour life coaching to a $15,000 leadership mastermind program. Like literally the same time invested and 10x the revenue increase. So what did she do? Like she understood that her baby boomer demographic really preferred high value relationship based programs. Now, let's take a look at COVID-19. Woo! It changed the entire event space on its head. But it really accelerated trends that were already happening. However, the data shows permanent behavioral changes. So in-person, obviously, coaching declined 82% during the pandemic. We obviously couldn't get in person, while the virtual coaching increased by 83%. Okay, no shocker there. But here's the key. 87% of coaches expect this virtual trend to continue long term. And that's what we're already seeing. We were already using things like Zoom in the space, and it's just now expanded that. However, we want to also take a look at the current technology adoption rates. So obviously, video conferencing, 94%. It's kind of universal. CRM systems, 78%. That's your client management. Email marketing, 72%. Your lead nurturing. Your AI powered tools, 23%. It's as you can feel that emerging trend. VR, AR platforms, 8%. Still experimental. Nobody's really kind of leaning into it. It's a little too far on that AI side. But the demographic divide is pretty stark. So your millennials, again, adopt that new technology at 3x the rate of the baby boomers. But the baby boomers stick with their tools longer once they're adopted. Isn't this fascinating? Like I'm just leaning into, okay, great. Who is our market? Who are we supporting? Who are our clients supporting? And how can we support what they're already leaning into? Now, if we take a look at hybrid events, some might consider that to be the sweet spot. And coaches probably prefer it more on that 42% because they combine the personal connection of the in person with the convenience of the virtual. Anytime I have a client that's wanting to do hybrid, I also want to caveat it with you are doing two events. If you're doing the event right and proper, it's two events. It is the run a show and the agenda and its experience for the virtual audience and an experience for the in-person audience. Because when you're putting people into partner shares in person, you've got to throw them into breakout sessions into virtual, and it takes a little bit longer. So you have to have enough time to do it. When you're taking a 30-minute break in person, well, it's too long of a break for your virtual. So your virtual audience, what are you doing? Are you showing them behind the scenes? Are you having a virtual MC that's connecting with them, that's interviewing people that are in person? Are you, doing Q&A? What is that experience for, 15 minutes? So they take a 15-minute break, 15, 20-minute break, and then they come back to you for 15 minutes before the main stage starts again. But in person, you need a longer break, especially depending on how many people you have in the room. There's only so many, toilet spots, right? So you have to consider those pieces too. But if we take a look at David, who is a Gen X executive coach, he initially resisted that virtual event. When he finally embraced the hybrid masterminds, his reach expanded from local to global, increasing his program enrollment by 400% while reducing costs by 60%. And that's interesting too, because there's a difference on enrollment versus fulfillment. They're already in your masterminds. Absolutely make sure that there is an opportunity to have a hybrid component. Um, because, especially if you want to be worldwide. Not everybody, if you're in the States and you have clients in Australia, not all of the time can they make it all the way over. So if there was a hybrid experience that they could still participate, they're more likely to join your program because you can still support them. Now let's take a look at, again, continuing on that geography play. It has a huge role in behavioral patterns that most coaches ignore. So North America leads with 34% of coaches, followed by Western Europe at 27.5, and the Asia Pacific region is the fastest growing at 20%. Cultural differences are significant. North American coaches prefer direct sales approaches, while European coaches focus on relationship building, and Asian coaches emphasize expertise and credentials. So when we ended up running and producing an event in Ireland, it was drastically different. They're used to, again, that relationship building, the networking type of events. And you end up bringing over a more direct sales approach from North America. And they're like, wait a minute, what's happening? I'm used to coming to an event where I just can network and relationship build. So we got to blend the two together to give them a new experience, something to play with. Also, we've got clients from New Zealand coming over here to North America. And how do we need to kind of shift how their approach that works in New Zealand to make it work here in the States? Right? So, something to consider if you are going worldwide. Now, I want to go ahead and start wrapping up with a specific strategy you can implement immediately. So, for my baby boomer coaches, I want you the focus on masterminds and the high ticket programs. Your demographic values relationship building, and schedule events in that October, November for your maximum impact. For the Gen X, leverage your balanced approach. Take a look at hybrid events being possibly your sweet spot, and executive coaching is your highest conversion market. For millennials, embrace the technology early. Virtual summits, social media marketing, those are going to be your strengths, and scale faster than the older demographics. Let's just be honest. Now, overall, there are some universal strategies. Obviously, you want to make sure that you segment your audience by behavioral patterns, not just demographics. I guess that's not obvious. I think that's something new to consider. It's segmenting your audience by behavioral patterns, not just demographics. Take a look at the timing of your events. October, November for those high ticket. I would even push it into September, October, November. January, February if you're looking for volume. And we even see some great results in March, April, May as being high ticket opportunities as well. You want to match your event format to your target demographics preferences and invest in technology that serves your specific audience. Now, if I can get into some possible predictions for the rest of 2025 into the next year, I feel that the AI tools will absolutely reach 50% adoption by the end of the year. Hybrid events are going to become a little bit more of the standard, with possibly even a 60% preference. Again, it's going to be, you have to keep in mind the cost and the budgets of things, but the audience is going to prefer that you have the option. I'm predicting that mastermind programs are going to continue to grow, probably at 12% annually. And I'm seeing probably the Gen Zers are going to represent 3% of the coaches by 2026. So the coaching industry is always evolving rapidly, but success comes from understanding your audience deeply. I mean, the data is clear. Different demographics have different behavioral patterns, and your event marketing really deserves to reflect this. So whether you're a baby boomer coach building relationships through masterminds, a Gen X coach leveraging hybrid events, or a millennial coach scaling through technology, the key is alignment between your demographic profile and your marketing approach. The $7.3 billion coaching market in 2025 literally has room for everybody, but only if you understand the hidden patterns that we've discussed today. So that's all for today's episode. If you found these insights valuable, please share it with a fellow coach and consultant. And I look forward to connecting with you more. If this is of interest, please drop a comment and let us know how you are exploring AI as a transforming coaching business model, how you're incorporating it, and let us know if you would prefer to have more information along these data lines. Until next time, have an outstanding rest of your day. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Creating Powerful Impact podcast. If you are a successful coach, speaker, author, or thought leader who would like to be on this program, simply visit creatingpowerfulimpact.com/guest. If you are someone who got something out of this interview, would you please do me a favor and share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on your socials. Also, if you know somebody that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Creating Powerful Impact. I love seeing all of your posts and great guest selections. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show, and they really mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more about us? Head on over to our website, graceandeaseproductions.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Just look for Grace and Ease Productions on your favorite platform. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.